Give it a try. I'll serve you some with heavy spin. That's it, good. See how much easier that is? Alright everyone, do you ever find that you can loop perfectly in practice, but once you start moving in a match, you can't land the shot? When looping against backspin, we can break it down into two main types. The first type is a push from the opponent with heavy backspin. The second type is the light spin or no spin ball. The one that feels soft and floaty. Now, if you use the exact same looping technique for both of these balls, let's see what happens. If your loop is primarily based on brushing the ball, you'll be able to lift that heavy backspin. But against that dead, no-spin ball, a friction-based loop will often send the ball long. Conversely, if you rely more on hitting through the ball, you'll put that heavy backspin straight into the net. But against the no-spin ball, that same stroke will land on the table. So, the first step for amateur players is to learn to read your opponent's contact, understanding the rhythm and spin of their stroke. A shot with fingers and wrist action is spinny. A shot with a short, sharp impulse is also very spinny. For those, focusing on brushing the ball is always the safe bet. So what does a no-spin shot look like? The overall motion of their arm is at a constant speed, producing very little spin. After our serve and recovery, we have two ways to deal with this kind of push. The first method is to step in and loop directly. If I see the ball is half long, I'll step in with my right foot and loop it directly. That's the first option, but honestly, I don't recommend looping this way. In a third ball attack, stepping directly with the right foot feels awkward. It can disrupt your balance like you're moving your arm and leg on the same side. Furthermore, your opponent's pushes will vary in depth. Some long, some short, making it difficult to judge the distance correctly. That's why we use what I call a loop with positional adjustment. This means after I serve, I recover to my ready position, preparing for a long ball. If I see a short ball, I step in with my left foot then my right while executing the loop to close the distance. See? The ball is short, so I move in to fill the space. Watch again. Serve, anticipate a long ball, see that it's short, and then adjust your center of gravity forward as you loop. The reason we adjust our position during the stroke is that it's hard to predict the ball's exact depth, especially against pimples, where it could be slightly longer or shorter. Let me show you, it's not as difficult as it sounds. After a long serve, your priority should be to cover the long ball, because some players can suddenly add a quick, deep push even if their motion looks slow. That quick forward push can be very awkward, so always prepare for the deep ball first. The moment you see the ball is going to be short, begin your backswing and step forward with your left foot simultaneously as you execute the loop. And then your right foot follows to rebalance your center of gravity. When it's all connected, it looks like this. This is especially crucial for half-long balls. Never step in with your right foot first to hit the ball. The correct motion is, after serving, move your left foot and your hand together, strike the ball, and then transfer your weight forward. Again, left foot and hand together, strike, and transfer your weight. If the ball is wider, I step out like this. If it's more central, I step in this way. My right foot always follows to stabilize my center of gravity. In a continuous motion, it's serve and go. Now, what about extremely wide balls, like a forehand push right to the sideline? How do you handle a ball that's even wider, right on the line? For these wide-angle balls, you must first recover to your neutral ready position. Only then do you have a chance to reach it. When using a crossover step for these balls, your left foot must move forward, not sideways. Pay attention to this feeling, left foot initiates, and as the ball comes, you move into the shot. Third, we need to know how to adjust our loop for different types of spin. The more spin on the ball, the lower your racket needs to be during the backswing. The less spin on the ball, the closer your racket should be to the ball's height. You don't need such a low backswing. If you sense your opponent has used heavy, disguised spin, but your backswing is too high, your brushing action won't be sufficient to overcome the spin. But this high backswing works perfectly for a no-spin ball. If they float one over, I can loop it easily. Against heavy spin, however, you'll definitely mishit it. So, the key principle is, for heavier spin, drop your hand lower to create a greater vertical distance from the descending ball. When the push has less spin, your backswing can be higher, closer to the ball's vertical position. For example, for a light spin ball, my hand is here. For a heavy spin ball, my hand is down here. This adjustment makes looping much easier, right? Our second point is about racket angle. When looping, should your racket angle be the same for heavy backspin and light backspin balls? Many players backspin loop slack spin because they are lifting the ball up. Their contact is an upward brushing motion, not a forward brushing motion with a closed racket face. Against a very spinny ball, you must keep your racket angle closed. If you can't lift it, that's an issue with your brushing technique. You need to practice making thicker, more solid contact, but the closed racket angle is non-negotiable. Don't constantly change your racket angle. It will only cause hesitation and confusion until you no longer know the correct angle to use. For a standard backspin loop, I recommend maintaining a racket angle between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. Don't adjust it back and forth. This doesn't apply to topspin rallies. For those, you must vary your angle. Once we've fixed our racket angle, the next variable is our direction of force. The first key point, when the incoming ball has heavy spin, I need to use more friction. After contact, my follow-through will stop around my chin, finishing with a final bit of acceleration. For a heavy spin ball, I brush and finish high. The full motion looks like this. If the ball has little spin, my follow-through might stop around my chest. I brush just enough to lift it, and the rest of the energy is forward drive. It's that simple. Don't adjust your racket angle or the fundamental direction of your stroke. So how do you actually adjust the ratio of hitting to brushing? Here's my method. If I want more hitting power, I stop the brushing phase of my stroke early, around my chest, and then drive forward with a sharp thwack. If I want more friction, I extend the brushing phase longer, letting my follow-through come up to my chin. This is a friction-dominant loop. The point where I stop brushing determines the ratio. One is a quick thwack, the other is a longer whoosh. A longer brushing duration means you grip the ball more, resulting in a spin-focused shot. If I want more hitting, I might use 30% brush on initial contact, and the rest is all forward impact. That's a hit-dominant loop. Listen to the sound, thwack. That's clearly a hit-dominant stroke. As I broke it down earlier, I stop the upward motion here and drive the rest of the way forward. For balls with light spin, this technique is generally all you need. Don't overbrush them. If you brush for too long and then try to add power, you'll likely forget to control the follow-through and hit the ball long. Let me give you one more tip for extremely spinny balls, which often cause amateurs to hit the net. I'll share my personal experience. Here's how I manage to loop very heavy backspin. First, when the ball is extremely spinny, I stop using my body rotation. A spinny ball is also a heavy ball that can jam you. Usually, you just push this kind of ball back, but this is for when you're forced to attack. For a ball like this, don't use a big body turn. If you try to rotate fully, the ball's pace and spin will jam you, and that's why you can't lift it. So, the solution is to use minimal body rotation and make the entire motion more compact. You loop it just like this. Second and third points, keep your body movement and backswing compact. Use a smaller stroke at contact, but the key is to make it fast. As I've said before, the spinnier the ball, the more a slow, soft stroke will result in hitting the net. So what should we do then? Let me demonstrate. It's actually very easy to loop. When that heavy spin comes, your contact must be explosive and quick, otherwise the spin will grab your racket. For instance, if he serves with spin, and I'm too slow, you see? The spin takes over. That's because my contact speed was too slow. Simply put, the ball is dropping too fast for a slow stroke to catch it. So my technique is to get my racket below the ball and then rapidly lift it up, catching it before it has a chance to drop too far. Try it. I'll give you a spinny serve. Just focus on your stroke speed. That one jammed you. Focus on speed. That's it, good. See how much easier that is? Now try it the normal way with a full body rotation. The ball is spinny. With a big turn, you get jammed, right? Yes, it's very spinny. The key is just to be quick. Fast. Be quick, don't be afraid of it. Faster. Yes, that's it. Just a quick flick is enough to get it over. The more you try to use a full body rotation, the more the ball will jam you. I was even leaning back on that one. When the ball has heavy spin, you can't lift it with a full body rotation. So what do? Be quick. That's it. That's exactly it. That quick motion lifts the ball. Now, professional players can't always do this, because if we lift it softly, the opponent will counter-loop with power. But for amateur play, this is more than effective. First, focus on getting out of trouble, then you can worry about other things. Just match the ball with speed, no matter how much spin it has. Let me give you a slow, spinny ball. It's the same for slow spin. Be quick. Nice. Good. Easy to loop? As long as you complete your motion quickly, so that the ball's rotational force doesn't overpower the speed of your lift, you will get it over. But if you are slow, it won't work. The instantaneous speed of your stroke has to be high. This has nothing to do with timing. At any contact point, you must brush the ball upward with speed. The second common problem is looping long. Many players, when facing a half-spinny, floaty ball, tend to loop it off the end of the table. How do we fix this? I'll teach you the best method. Don't use your upper arm. You'll make almost all of them. Understand? Don't engage the upper arm in the backswing or at contact. You'll land most of them because the forearm has limited power and you won't generate excessive forward momentum. That's how you execute this shot. Let me demonstrate. Not like this. That stroke went long. Let me show you in slow motion. It's not a swing with the upper arm. It's a controlled motion led by the forearm. Even when I say to only use your forearm, you'll naturally use a bit of your upper arm. But if you are conscious of it, you can control the power from your upper arm much better. Otherwise, in a match, you'll unconsciously use your upper arm, and the ball will fly off the table. If you control your upper arm, you can still generate power without making unforced errors.